In the frozen wilderness of northern Canada, where winter night stretches endlessly and the silence feels alive, there is a story whispered by hunters, trappers, and travelers. A story of a village that vanished. Gone overnight. Every soul. Every heartbeat. Every voice swallowed by the ice. This is the mystery of Anjikuni Lake. It was November, 1930. The cold had already sunk its claws into the tundra. Powdered snow drifted across the spruce-tipped horizon, and the frozen lake gleamed like a sheet of black glass beneath a waxing moon. A lone fur trapper, Joe LaBelle, trudged wearily through the snow. He knew these backwoods. He'd hunted, traded, and camped around Anjikuni countless times. And he knew the sounds of the land, the whisper of wind through pine, the crack of branches under moose, the distant howls of wolves. But that night, there was nothing. No wolves. No owls. Not even the restless sigh of the forest. Just silence. Too much silence. As LaBelle reached the village along Anjikuni's shore, he expected to see smoke rising from snow-laden huts. To hear chatter, laughter, the rhythmic beat of drums. This was a thriving settlement of an Inuit community, dozens of men, women, and children. But when he arrived, the sight froze him deeper than the cold ever could. The village was deserted. Huts stood with doors wide open, snow blowing inside like unwanted guests. Cooking pots simmered on still-glowing embers. Fish hung neatly on drying racks, half-cured. Tools were left mid-use, as if dropped suddenly. LaBelle called out. His voice echoed against the frozen lake. He called again, louder. But not one voice answered. Not one face appeared. The village of Anjikuni was gone. When he pushed deeper, LaBelle's unease grew into dread. Inside one hut, for bedding was laid out, still warm as though bodies had just been there minutes before. No sign of a struggle, no blood, no tracks leading away. He discovered rifles, leaned neatly against walls. In the harsh north, no one abandoned their weapons willingly. And then it became stranger. Outside, LaBelle approached a communal burial ground. But the earth had been disturbed. The frozen graves, opened. Empty. Coffins splintered. The dead were gone too. Who would desecrate graves? And why take the bodies? The trapper's breath quickened. His footprints were already half filled with falling snow, erasing the only sign of his presence. Joe LaBelle fled the village, stumbling back into the woods. Every step crunched louder, like bones under his boots. It was as if the trees themselves were watching. At one point, he swore he saw movement, a shadow darting behind a tree, too tall, too thin. Another shape gliding soundlessly along the tree line. Watching. Following. By the time he reached a telegraph office miles away, he was near delirious, screaming of vanished people, empty huts, stolen dead. The mounted police were called. They rode into Anjikuni to see if the trapper's story was drunken rambling or genuine madness. But when they arrived, they confirmed it. The village was real. The silence was real. The people were gone. The mounted police searched for tracks. They found none. They searched for signs of migration, of a hasty departure. Nothing. No supplies taken. No sled marks. No trails of animals. The people did not leave, not in any way investigators understood. Then came reports from hunters in the area. Witnesses claimed they had seen eerie, pulsating lights dancing above Anjikuni on the night of the disappearance. Not like stars, Not like the northern lights. More structured. Intentional. Almost as if the sky had opened. Others whispered darker explanations. That an angry spirit had stalked the people. That a malevolent shape-changer walked among them. That the night had simply claimed them. But the longer you study the case, the less it makes sense. Why were fires still burning? Why was food still cooking? Why were rifles left behind in a land where predators always lurk? And the most disturbing question: why were the dead taken too? Whatever happened at Anjikuni was not just an evacuation, it was a cleansing. Something wanted every trace of humanity erased. The official explanation: they say it was overblown. A camp moved. A story exaggerated by newspapers of the time. But those who've stood on the shores of Anjikuni Lake, toes tingling over the vast black ice, swear the air still hums there. Swear they feel thousands of unseen eyes watching from the snowbound pines. Many hunters refuse to camp near the site. Husbands urge wives not to speak of it by name. Children are warned, do not wander near the lake, for fear of joining those who vanished. And some say, the village is not gone at all. On certain nights, when the moonlight cuts silver across the ice, they claim you can hear faint singing, carried on the wind. A lullaby. A drumbeat. The echo of lives still there, repeating the final moment before they were taken. The air tastes metallic. The silence presses in. And if you wander too close, if you listen too long, they say you might see them. Scores of figures standing in the snow at the tree-line. Faces darkened. Mouths open. Not breathing. Just waiting. Waiting for someone to join. Waiting for you. And if you ever wake to find your fire burned out, your footprints erased, and the night sky glowing with lights that should not exist, then you've already heard the song. And soon, you'll vanish too.